Hey, everybody, back with us again for a quick review of what we did just the other day about the government's attempt to criminalize dissent. There are new developments, and Paul Craig Roberts is back with us today. Paul, the new development is that Hillary said right after our broadcast, apparently, I don't know if there's any relationship there, but anyway, she says that there needs to be a formal deprogramming of Trump cult members. Now, my question is, was that just an offhand remark that she didn't mean literally, or was it a trial balloon in keeping with other moves that the government has been making about controlling dissent? What do you think, Paul?
You mean such as the FBI and Homeland Security refocusing on Trump voters, on Trump and Trump voters? Well, yes, it could very easily be. She's just helping support the acceptance of the FBI's refocus, not on crime, but on political crime. That is, Trump and the electorate that's behind him, their unwillingness to accept or give in to the ruling elite's agendas. So I think it is a safe assumption that this is part of the propaganda coming at the public so that the politicization of the FBI as a political police instead of a criminal police works its way into acceptance by the population, or at least that part of the population that listens to TV news or to NPR or reads newspapers. So yes, it's an indication that the ruling elite are very serious about shutting down any and all dissent from their agendas.
Paul, there's several reports that Hillary has said similar words before. In fact, I found one from 2016 at an event where she said, talking about a fund deficit in our country with all the dissents, all the arguing, she says, we really need camps for adults, differences that we need to get over. We need to mix it up. Red cabins, blue cabins, come together and listen to each other. Now, she covered herself more with that underlying thrust there of what she was getting at. But I mean, it sounds like a pattern here, very similar. The same thing about camps. Is this a new gulag for Americans?
Well, it's certainly clear that the Democrats have no intention whatsoever of listening to the red states or the red people, whatever. They have no intention of listening. They're doing everything they can to censor every one of us, to shut us down. We spoke of this recently. And look at all the journalists they've shut down. Look at the sites they've shut down, from Julian Assange on.
Yeah.
So clearly, the camps aren't so that the Democrats can listen to the Trump supporters. In fact, her statement shows a complete dismissal of Trump supporters.
Yeah, well,
why are you going to listen to somebody that you think needs to be deprogrammed?
Yeah, she famously said during the campaign that you could take half the Trump supporters and put them into a basket of deplorables. So her attitude is apparent and her disdain.
Yeah, so what we see here is the arrogance of the elite toward the traditional American people. We see here's Hillary dismissing to 85 million Americans in the electorate who prevented her from being president. So you have to understand the Trump deplorables are not a handful of people. She's talking about 85 million voters, the majority that defeated her bid to be president of the United States. And I think in Trump's reelection, which I'm absolutely totally convinced he won, is he got even more votes in the re-election than he did in his initial election, which defeated Hillary.
Yeah.
She's dismissed, what would you say? I would say at least 55% of the American electorate. They are deplorable.
Well, for those out there who may be listening and thinking that we're being alarmist about this and reading too much into what was perhaps an offhand comment, what would you say?
Well, I just don't think people make that kind of offhand comment, especially these days where we're supposed to be so sensitive all the time. You have to even know whatever the latest pronoun somebody declares for themselves. So I think that people who say that are either covering up for the Democrats' brazen dismissal of the majority of the American people who don't agree with them, so we don't listen to them. They're deplorable. We're going to deprogram. They're talking about they're going to take your mind away and put their ideas in. I mean, that's what it means when you say you're going to deprogram somebody. So no, I think she's just showing the contempt that the Democrats show every day. They show it every day to the majority of people. The majority are Trump deplorables. If you don't accept their narrative, you are not an acceptable member of the human race. That's their position. They don't listen to anybody. They turn everybody off. The whole thing is censorship. And as we talked the other day, they're now beginning to criminalize disagreement with their narratives. And now Hillary wants to go further and start programming our minds so that we can't think independently of their narratives.
Yeah, the giveaway in her phrasing there was a formal deprogramming, which to me does sound like an official government program. It's not just, well, we got to deprogram, they're all nuts. It's like a formal deprogramming. To me, that's chilling.
Well, the FBI said as much, didn't they?
Yeah.
We talked about this just recently, and it's not my interpretation of what the FBI says. It's their direct words and the direct quotes. They have dismissed, the FBI has dismissed 85 million Americans as domestic extremists who have to be monitored and watched. Well, what's next? Well, what happened when we had the fake war on terror? After the World Trade Center, there wasn't any terrorist events they could blame on the Muslim terrorists. And yet they had declared a war based on the threat of these Muslim terrorists. So what did the FBI do? It went around finding deranged people that had organized into FBI plots to blow up things. Remember, they were going to blow up the big, tall building in Chicago. Remember that? They got some group of crazies and they promised them money. And then once they get the plot organized, the FBI announces, a plot. We stopped it just in time. Well, it was their plot. This went on and on. Well, now what are they going to do? They're going to start plots by white supremacists, by Trump deplorables, by Trump domestic extremists. They're going to start having these events that the FBI organizes, and then the prostitute media will all say, see, the Trump people, they're a danger, see. And then it escalates. Then they start, like they did with the Trump rally, arresting people, making charges.
Yeah.
All the trials take place in Democrat courts, so there's no chance of any justice for anybody they arrest. So that's my prediction. We're gonna have a replay of the January 6th insurrection, but on a bigger scale. I think that's what we're going to face. And then they'll use that to get to the camps that Hillary's talking about and the formal deprogramming. This is the sort of stuff, you know, in the early period of communism that the communists put a lot of Russians through, you know.
Yeah. Re-education camps.
Re-education.
Yeah. Well, Paul Craig Roberts, we'll see what's to come and how soon it's coming, but the signs do not look good. You know, you've talked about this over decades, and everything you predicted seems to be pretty much on course and pretty much on schedule, maybe even accelerated now since the Biden administration, but we'll see. Paul Craig Roberts, thanks very much for joining us for this quick summary update once again.
Well, thank you, Larry. Till next time.